Christina Marie here, and oh my gosh, you guys, it is October 1st. It is the first day of a month-long celebration from me to you. I am doing VEDO this month, so I'm vlogging every day in October. So every single day, you will be getting a video from me of some sort. Now, I do want to preface this with saying I just started a new job, and so things are kind of hectic. Like, it is 1 o'clock in the afternoon on September 30th, so I'm pre-filming this because I work the overnight shift tonight until 1 a.m. and then I have to get up and go to work again at 11 tomorrow morning. So I don't have a lot of time to do things. So this will probably be the only time that something will be, no, I'm lying. I was going to say this will be the only time that something will be pre-filmed, but no, this will just be a little weird for a while. So just bear with me. All these cool things are happening at the same time and I'm just like, Anyway, so I wanted to bring you my September wrap up. What have I read during the month of September, especially considering like my life was in a lot of shit during the month of September. I did manage to read 12 books. So that's exciting. I kid you not. Probably halfway through September, I had only read about like 5 books, and I was so stressed out and so sad about that because you guys know that's not me. So I read 12 books this past month. So let's recap. So most of the books that I read were ARCs or, you know, copies given to me by publishers, PR companies, authors. So they're kind of jumbled up, but I think a majority of the books I read this month were from that particular category. So let's get into it. So the first book I read this month is a book by Sandra Edwards called Second Chance Bride. This was a novella that was basically about a girl whose relationship went to crap, and you know, I think her fiance left her on the day of her wedding, something like that. So she decided to take a trip to Hawaii or wherever she was and just kind of heal from that. She meets a guy and so on and so forth. It's a novella. It's rather short. It was cute. It wasn't like deep or anything like that. So it's a nice palate cleanser is what I've decided to call these types of books. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I got was When We Collide by A.L. Jackson. This is actually a pretty deep, emotional new adult novel. It's basically about a guy whose heart was broken by this girl. Because his heart was broken, he moved like far away and made a name for himself, but he became a person that he didn't like. Something tragic happens in his family, so it forces him to go back to his hometown where he kind of has to confront all of the things that he ran away from. The girl that broke his heart has her own issues that she's dealing with, and together they just kind of try and heal and reconcile. There is a bit of content to regards to sexual abuse and rape and all that stuff, and so it's a really deep book. And while I can appreciate books like that, this one wasn't really for me, mainly because I just think that I didn't receive it well. And it's not because of the topic, it's mainly because how it was written and how the characters were portrayed. It just didn't connect with me on the level that I thought that it could. So I ended up giving this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book is a book that I got 2-3 months ago by the author. She reached out to me. Her name is Raquel Reck. And her book is called Razor's Edge. I took forever to read this book, mainly because I was so behind on all the arcs that I had to read. So I finally got around to reading this book, and I really enjoyed it. It was really great. I don't really remember what the premise is. I know it's centered around this girl who is trying to heal and move on from a really bad relationship she had with a drug dealer, and her and her little boy were trying to just live their life and move on. And she meets this guy who is in a band who has a little bit of stable and unstable history with drugs, and she's so anti-drugs it's not even funny. So seeing them kind of come together in spite of all that, and her ex-husband slash boyfriend shows up again. It was just a really dramatic read, but it was really interesting. I liked how the characters were written. I liked how she was not a, oh, damsel in distress, rescue me kind of character. I liked how our main character was also a very strong guy who was also very vulnerable. It was just a really nice read, and it surprised me. So I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Then the next book I picked up was Witch Hearts by Liz Lon. This is my first book I've read by Liz Lon. Actually, that's a lie. I've beta read for her before, but this is like the first published book I read by her, and I love it. Loved it. Oh my gosh. This book was so interesting. The characters were so great. I love witches. I love learning about witches. This one was just so good. The banter between characters was so funny, so engaging. The plot was great. The mystery within the plot was just so much fun. I enjoyed just kind of solving the mystery right along with the characters. And I just cared about these characters so much. I ended up figuring out what was going on before the characters did, which is totally fine. But I just really enjoyed this. The world was great. The characters were great. The dialogue was great. I just really enjoyed this a lot. So Liz, I am a huge fan. 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read the Impossibly series by my friend Shane Morgan. She is an author. I read Impossibly Love and Impossibly True. These books are, in my opinion, like I said, palate cleansers, but this was a little bit more deep than Second Chance Bride. This follows a girl by the name of Moya who is pretty much boxed herself into, I go to school, I work, I'm focused, I have no time for outside frivolities, and she is thrown for a loop when she meets this guy Brandon, I think, Brandon. And Brandon, he has his own issues to deal with, but I just really enjoyed seeing Brandon and Moya come together. Granted, there were a lot of cheesy moments in this book, and there were times where I just kind of rolled my eyes, and I got a little upset with both Brandon and Moya. So I ended up giving the entire series a 3.5 stars out of 5. I gave book 1 a 3.5 stars and book 2 a 3.5 stars. So it was a good read and I do recommend it. Was it my favorite read? No. Was it the best thing I've ever read? No, but it was a step up from a lot of books that I have read. So Impossibly series by Shane Morgan, 3.5 stars. The next book I read, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Now, I would have this book to show you, but it was a library book and I had to take it back a couple days ago, so here's the picture. I loved this book. Oh my gosh, Ernest Cline is amazing. Words cannot explain to you how much I related to this main character in terms of his view on life. It was, oh my gosh, the book was just absolutely amazing. And it's a world of virtual reality, really, where he disappears and just lives in this virtual reality setting because the real world is basically crap. It's almost kind of has a, well, it is kind of like a fight to the death kind of thing. The creator of this virtual world / video game has died, but he's left multi-million, I think probably $1 billion, dollar reward for whoever can find this hidden Easter egg he has in this virtual world video game. He is a genius when it comes to video games, so it's really hard to find. Matter of fact, it's taken years and years for anyone to really have broken and discovered the first clue. And so our main character is the one that discovers the first clue and the first key to the Easter egg, and it just takes you on this journey of him finding that Easter egg. Along the way, there are people that get killed. He meets, you know, there's a romantic interest. There's just a lot of tension and relationship building. There's a lot of development in terms of character and plot in this book. And it is fantastic. It is so good. I love this world. It's a really big world, and it's very nostalgic for me because I'm an 80s child. So there were a lot of 80s references in the book, and I was like, I remember this stuff, and it was it was just so cool. So I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It was fantastic. Definitely one of my all-time favorites. The next book I read is called Illicit Desire by Taylor Michaels. I read this book. This was an arc that was given to me. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. As a matter of fact, I haven't reviewed it yet, but I will. I do know that I gave it a 3-star rating. It was just, for me, a lot of sex, more sex than plot. I'm all for tons of sex. have sex to your freaking brains explode. Go ahead and do it, but have a reason for it. There needs to be plot behind it. There needs to be intention, and I didn't feel there was a lot of intention when it came to the sex part, and the plot was a little underdeveloped. Okay, somebody's hyper. So I couldn't really give this book more than an average rating. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Coral and Bone by Tiffany. Oh my gosh, I'm going to mispronounce this. Daune, D-A-U-N-E. I love this book. It's, I guess, a young adult fantasy read. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Let me just tell you, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing to me. The world was great. The characters were great. Oh my gosh. Any of the books that I reviewed, if I mention them, if I have reviews for any of them, they'll be down below in the description. I definitely have a review for Coral and Bone, as well as an interview with the author, Tiffany. I love Tiffany. She's so great. This book was just so much fun. The characters were great. The main protagonist, female protagonist, her name is Helen. Loved her. Loved her. Granted, she was stubborn and she had her moments where she was a little bit of a brat, but it was so necessary, and you couldn't fault her for feeling the way that she did about a lot of things. I loved this book. It was so great, and I think this is like the first book in a series. I hope so, because that ending, I was like, wait, I need more. It was just so good. I really, really enjoyed it. The next book I read is a novella, and it is by Stacey O'Neal. This is The Shadow Prince, which is the prequel to Mortal Enchantment. This is a prequel that takes you into the backstory of our one of our male protagonists, Rowan, and how he became the way that he is. You don't necessarily have to read this before Mortal Enchantment, but I did because I got them at the same time, so I said, let's just read the prequel. I loved this prequel. There was so much that happened in here that made me fall in love with Rowan. This novella, what are you doing? This novella is 102 pages, and so much happened in those 102 pages to the point where I was tearing up at moments. Rowan is a brilliantly written character. He does remind me of Jace from the Mortal Instruments. It's so funny. Mortal Enchantment, Mortal Instruments. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I loved this, and he is definitely a character that I look forward to seeing more of as the series progresses. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Followed that up with Mortal Enchantment by Stacey O'Neal, which is the first book in the Mortal Enchantment series. And this actually takes you into the person's story, the person's life that Rowan was protecting. This is, crap, what is her name? Kaylin's story. Rowan is definitely in this, and I love Rowan. Book boyfriend. Kaylin is an interesting character, but she is a brat to all extent of the word. Like, she frustrated me so much in this book that I wanted to strangle her. Rowan kept telling this girl, you need to listen to me. You can't do that. You can't do that. You need to listen to me. This is what happens. Rowan is the expert in this case, and Kaylin is not. But while I was frustrated with Kaylin, I really, really enjoyed her as a person, and I enjoyed her character. And I do feel that she will get better as the series progresses. I really, really enjoy what Stacey is doing with this series. It's developing into something that I didn't even anticipate. The world is great. The fantasy aspect of it is great. The characters are great. The relationships are so, so, so good. I did love The Shadow Prince a teeny bit more than this, but I still gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was great. Okay, then the final book I read this month. Before I introduce it to you, I'm going to preface this with saying, I am a firm believer in admitting when I am wrong, or when my mind has changed about something. I am definitely adamant that we recognize that as human beings, we can change our minds and opinions because our life experiences shape and mold us as we grow older. With that being said, you guys, don't fall off of your seats. Don't let your jaw drop onto your computers. Like, brace yourselves. Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins was amazing. I'm gonna let that sink in for you. I'm gonna give you a minute. Don't worry, I will wait. You done? Yeah. I couldn't believe it either. I could not believe it either. I loved this book. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I have not written a review for it as of the time that I'm filming this video, but it is coming. I have to speak about this book. I don't know if I'm in a different place in my life right now to where I can receive books like this a little bit more, or if this is just a better written story for me personally. While I love Anna, the idea of Anna, and I feel like I like her more in here because she's grown up, and Lola and the Boy Next Door is my least favorite of the series. This is my favorite. So Anna gets the middle child syndrome diagnosis. I don't know what it is, though. I really, really like Josh. Josh and me are one and the same. I am a free spirit like nobody's business. Bailey's playing with the blinds. I am a free spirit just like Josh is, and sometimes I feel like there's a world that I need to fit into because it's what because it's what is expected of me. But my heart to just be free and be creative and express myself through art is the driving force of my life. And sometimes those things get muddled, you get confused, you get a little lost, and you speak out in ways that aren't necessarily the best. So I get Josh in this book. I'm totally on par with Josh. And I also understand Isla. I do understand Isla. And of Isla, Lola, and Anna, she, in my opinion, was the most, I don't want to say tolerable, but that's the word that pops up into my mind. Now, I don't want to talk too much about this because if you guys want me to do a separate review on this book, comment down below. But just know that I loved it. It wrapped up nicely. Stephanie Perkins has a little bit of row in her with some of these scenes. But I do want to read you one of my favorite lines in this book that made me think, okay, oh my gosh, I think I love this book. It was just after Josh and Isla had an intimate moment, and Isla was thinking to herself, we can't stop smiling at each other. I can't believe that adults get to do this every day. And I don't even mean sex, though it's wonderful. But things like this, brushing our teeth at the same sink. Do adults realize how lucky they are? Or do they forget that these small moments are actually small miracles? I don't want to ever forget. I don't know what it is about that particular passage, but I teared up. I teared up at a Stephanie Perkins book, you guys. Note this in your diaries, in your journals, on your calendars. I teared up at a Stephanie Perkins book. You guys know how I feel about Stephanie Perkins. I love her as a person, but as an author, I just shunned her because I just couldn't connect to her books. But this one did it for me. Oh my God, 4.5 out of 5 stars. The reason why I docked it by half a star is because of Isla. And if you guys have read the book, you guys know Isla made some choices and some decisions in this book where I wanted to punch her. Granted, I understood it, but it still frustrated me. So, yeah. So that's it. That is my September wrap-up. Those are the books that I read this month. I think I did a pretty good job considering, like I said, my life was in shambles during the past 8 weeks. Or not, or whatever. Yeah, comment down below letting me know what you guys have read during the month of September. If you read any of the books that I read, what your thoughts were. I would love to know. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And make sure you're subscribed to my channel because VEDO has started, baby. The engine is chugging and it's not going to let up until November 1st. So I hope you guys hop on board for the ride. I'm really excited to bring you some videos. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and so make sure you guys are following me on Twitter and on Instagram because I will be posting updates on what's going on with me, if I'm able to upload, if I'm not able to upload, if something's come up, when the video is going to be coming up, if it's not going to, you know, if it's not up at its usual 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah, I'll let you guys know all of that stuff, so make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram and all those fun things. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for VEDO Day 2. Bye guys.